Government is this? A government which allows children to go out there to face the non-structural COVID-19 while their parents are sitting comfortably in their homes debating their future.
Withdraw your statement, Honorable Ranyani.
She only refers to
Hey,
Before you continue, withdraw your statement.
Honorable Speaker, let me finish.
Honorable Nanyani, before you continue, withdraw your statement.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, you are eating my time.
You withdraw your statement.
Withdraw the statement.
Because you are not complying. Withdraw your statement.
Honorable Deputy Speaker,
Honorable Nanyani, withdraw your
my time
statement.
is wasted here.
Withdraw statement, Honorable Nanyani, before you continue.
Ma'am Nanyani, just withdraw my mother, my sister.
Honorable Nanyani, withdraw statement.
Honorable Speaker, are you asking that man which is wasted?
Don't mess up.
Honorable Speaker, are you the one
Honorable Speaker?
Are you the one who's leading this sitting or is
only out of order. You are out of order. You are just out of order.
No, I'm saying, are you the one who's leading this house? Or is Mema Miki who's leading this house?
Honorable Nanyani, you don't have a right to call the president cupcake. Withdraw your statement.
I withdraw.
And she does not know the
What
rules
kind
of the
of a
house.
government is this?
Honorable Nanyani, withdraw your
Government.
statement.
How many times?
She does not know the rules of the
How
house.
many times
Her
has the
commander must go and teach her the rules of the house.
Honorable
How
Nanyani,
many times?
you are wasting time. You are wasting
No,
time.
I'm saying how many times? What kind of government is
Honorable
this? A
Nanyani, you are
government?
wasting time. Withdraw your statement. I'm serious.
No, I'm saying how many times? I've already withdrawn my statement. I'm saying how many times?
When have you withdrawn statement? Say it in record. Say it in record. Say it in record.
Am I not in record presently?
You are now on record. Withdraw your statement.
I withdraw. Did
Thank
you
you.
hear me? Did
You
you
can
hear
continue.
me?
You
Did
can
you
continue,
hear me?
Honorable Nanyani.
Did you hear me, Honorable Deputy Speaker?
Continue.
I'm saying, did you hear me now?
Our tell away.
Usalete ke 2 seconds. Usalete ke 2 seconds.
Honorable Nanyani, we are still in the city. Continue.
MEC and members of this Augusta House, the grannies and grandpa leading this nation Corona Council have gambled with the lives of the black child by prioritizing the academic year instead of lives. The misleading belief that the school were ready was nothing but an opportunity for comrades to loot in forms of tendering for PPE, which end up not reaching schools, like the case in KwaZulu-Natal. Deputy Speaker, the decision to reopen the schools by the Department of Basic Education is misleading even to date because the infrastructure is not there and cases are increasing on this phase. And for example, Mangaung Metro, a teacher tested positive at Fona Primary, and she was forced to close the school on the 15th of June. 7 days later, another school was affected with 15 matriculates shows symptoms of COVID-19. They had to be taken to hospital for tests. Central Primary School was not immune from the situation because an educator tested positive too. The list is endless, Speaker. That is why we hold a strong view that we need to save the lives of educators and people by reconsidering the decision of to reopen the school. MEC, just give us a clarity of what is happening in the school of Fauna located here in Bloemfontein, whereby the number of COVID-19 cases are so high and increase every day. Really, we are literally tired of numbers of COVID-19 that increasing every day in schools. It's going to be difficult for us to agree with this budget because we keep on spending money year in, year out on nothing that don't get to be done. Like the school in Ward 10, the school in Ward 17, and many other projects across the provinces. Mo fumana makoma a hlamisitse mahano fela sa bona e le go hukumetsa. Empa mosebetsi ona o sa felle. It is now a year ago. Impa, we still have hectares of generation. The legacy in school, where have not yet filled the vacancies of principal, deputies, and HOD. All that we have is acting this, acting that. On the 2019 financial year, we as a province had 196 schools with pit toilets, 23 schools had no water, and 5 schools had no single toilet. How far are we in saving the situation before re lahlela Makomo hukumetsa hape.
Thank you, Honorable Nanyani. Your
Hear
time is
that you are
over.
talking about the laptops.
Thank you very much.
Promise laptops and iPads to school, and
Let
yet
me
those
give over to Honorable Peter Way. Honorable Peter Way, you may address the House, Madam.
Thank you,
Yes.
Honourable Acting Speaker. Before I commence, can you please ask the Honourable Kwabate to put off her mic and her video she's distracting? Thank you.
I'm too
And why
beautiful for
distract
you,
her,
man.
Manditi? She's busy distracting.
Madam Speaker, sound is still not off. Can you please ask the MEC to switch off?
Honorable Peter Way, just a minute. Honorable Smith. Honorable members, we are still in the sitting. And this sitting is live. It will never be correct whilst we are busy in the plenary and we are busy found eating behind the cameras. Can we be in order? Honorable Peter, may continue.
Thank you, Honourable Acting Speaker. There's an African proverb that goes, listening is the most difficult skill to learn and the most important to have. I sincerely hope that the Acting MEC of Education listens to my speech and conveys the message to MEC Mokwe. During this COVID-19 pandemic, the education of our scholars are as important as their safety at our schools. The President and the National Coronavirus Command Council laid down clear requirements and preconditions for the reopening of the schools, with the instruction that if a school do not meet 100% of the requirements, they are not allowed to open. The MEC of Education in the Free State confirmed on national TV that the Free State was 100% ready and all schools will open on 8 June. On the 9th of June, the MEC stated again in national media that only 2 schools in the Free State did not open due to not being 100% ready. This was also confirmed in a reply to my written question directed to the MEC that only 2 out of 1,123 schools did not open. This amazed me, because as the DA spokesperson on education in the Free State, I'm in constant contact with councillors, teachers, residents who advised me on the contrary. On 8 June, I was informed of no less than 10 schools that did not open for various reasons, ranging from thermometers not working, schools were not decontaminated, schools were vandalized, the Department of Health did not approve the ablution facilities, etc. Was this accidental misinformation by the MEC or deliberate lie? Oh, we would never know. I can only hope that the Department of Education does actually do daily checks at schools, which are remaining open to ensure that they maintain a safe environment. This is not about changing statistics to get the best scores or to be the winner or the best in the country. This is about the safety and the lives of our children. Madam Speaker, Section 29(1) of the Constitution reads as follows. Everyone has the right, A, to basic education, including adult basic education, and B, to further education, which the state, through reasonable measures, must make progressively available and accessible. Madam Speaker, I draw to your attention the words "and accessible." The National Learner Transport Policy states that the selection criteria for learners to qualify for transport must not discriminate on the basis of gender or race and must not deny access for learners from disadvantaged communities. Furthermore, that principals, after consultation with the school governing bodies, must identify beneficiaries of subsidized learner transport services in line with the following criteria. 1. Beneficiaries must be needy learners from grade R to 12. Learner transport will be subsidized to the nearest appropriate school. Priority must be given to learners with disabilities, taking into consideration the nature of the disability. Priority must be given to primary school learners who walk long distances to school. Existing learner transport services must be taken into account when identifying beneficiaries, as no learner transport services will be provided in areas where public transport is available. A study conducted by the Nelson Mandela Foundation in 2005 revealed that some scholars who walk to school, especially in the rural areas, walk distances so long that they often arrive at school late and tired and are therefore unable to concentrate fully on the teaching and learning activities. Some scholars have to walk 8 kilometers to school and 8 kilometers back. Some of the roads are not safe for a variety of reasons, as we know in the Free State. Even where public transport is available, the cost of transport is too high for some parents to afford, resulting in their children dropping out of the school system. Madam Speaker, again, like the previous year, as I'm standing here, there are scholars in the Free State that have not been to school once this year due to failure of scholar transport. And again, the reason being that the transport contractors have not been paid due to financial constraints within the department, although these costs were budgeted for. Madam Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, do you think the MEC of Education has drawn a comparison line between the scholar transport and the high dropout rate? I remind him of the African proverb, listening is the most difficult skill to learn and the most important to have. But will the situation improve? We just learned from the education budget vote speech that all non-viable farm schools with less than 50 learners or any school with more than 50 learners where teacher teaches all the subjects across grades will be closed. This means more scholars that will need transport. And with the new regulations during this pandemic, vehicles transporting scholars are prohibited from being full to 100% capacity, meaning the scholar transport expense will be much higher. How will our children ever get to school? According to a publication, Broken and Unequal, the State of Education in South Africa, compiled by Amnesty International, South Africa is failing too many of its young people when it comes to education. Madam Speaker, according to the MEC in a reply to my question, there are still 117 pit latrines at our schools in the Free State. During this pandemic, that is 117 too many. That is if the figure is true, I don't know. Apart from this being life-threatening during this time, it can cause embarrassment and shame amongst pupils, impacting upon their right to privacy and dignity. The Premier promised in her 2019 State of the Provincial address that, and I quote, bursaries provide opportunities to young people from disadvantaged backgrounds to have equal access to higher education. This is a lifetime opportunity that will give them the chance to change their life circumstances. We will continue to provide bursaries to deserving students, close quote. But the Honourable Premier made no promises in her 2020 State of the Province address of the bursaries that will be paid. What will be the reason for this? The DA has submitted several questions and written letters to the MEC of Education regarding the non-payment of bursaries granted by the Free State Provincial Government. Students, some of which obtained distinctions, were suspended because of non-payment of their bursaries and were not able to complete their academic year as a result. Many of these students received their bursaries from the Department of Education with the title of being Matric Top Achievers. Our students are being deprived of deserving opportunities to further their education and use their gained knowledge to navigate their lives out of poverty and help benefit tomorrow's generation. At the end of each financial year, the Free State Department of Education runs out of cash, leaving it unable to honour their bursary agreements. This also impacts on the department's ability to pay school subsidies, leaving schools without the necessary learning aids. On this note, I would like to congratulate those matriculants who had the opportunity to write their national certificate, senior certificate, and passed with excellent results, placing the Free State as the top performing province with a matric pass rate of 88.4%. But, Madam Speaker, sadly, more than 56%, 33,361 of their classmates that started with this class of 2019 in grade 10 in 2017 did not have this opportunity. The basic education system in the Free State once again failed them. The Free State matric pass rate of 88.4% may tempt us into believing that all is well with the state of basic education in the province, since it has increased from 87.5% in 2018, but there remains again a great cause for concern. The true matric pass rate of the Free State can only be calculated by considering the number of learners who drop out of the school system between grades 10 and 12. And I talk about this every year. In the Free State, there were 58,933 learners enrolled for grade 10 in 2017. Whilst at the start of the 2019 school year, only 25,572 learners were enrolled for matric. Should we calculate the true matric pass rate, considering this mass exodus from our basic education system, the Free State pass rate would come in at a meager 38.4%, thus relegating more than half a generation to a life of unemployment and further entrenching a cycle of poverty and human misery in the Free State. The DA-led Western Cape is the province with the lowest dropout rate at 33.4%. And this therefore reflects the highest real pass rate nationally at 54.8%. It is all well and good to shout loud and high percentage number of passes without being completely honest to the true extent of the systematic failures at our school system. Without honestly acknowledging the true extent of these problems, the Free State will not make headway in the fight against unemployment and poverty. The Free State requires an education system that delivers the dream of building a united and prosperous knowledge-based economy. Western Cape learners recorded the highest percentage of distinctions at 40.9%, as well as showing continued improvement in all key indicators, especially in achieving the lowest dropout rate, boasting the top 3 performing learners in South Africa and the top 2 mathematics learners.
Your time has collapsed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me give over to Honorable Khadebe. You may address the House, Honorable Khadebe.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Premier, my colleagues in the Executive Council, honorable members of the legislature, management and officials from the Department of Education, abahlali wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, molweni. The provincial speech delivered by Honorable Khadija Brown for Finance, Free State Province on the 7th of July 2020 came when, as a country, we have just concluded the Child Protection Week, which started on the 31st of May 2020 and ended on the 7th June 2020. The Child Protection Week seeks to elevate issues of protection and children throughout the year, and this year's theme is, and I quote, "Let us all protect the children during COVID-19 and beyond," close quote. The former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon at the World Education Forum in 2015 in Incheon, Republic of Korea, once said, and I quote, "Education is not a privilege, it's a birthright," close quote. Madam Deputy Speaker, the Department of Education allocation of 15.6 billion in the current financial year goes a long way to ensure that all children go to school and learn, and to assist with preparations of schools for the safety of our returning learners. Indeed, the ANC-led government is living up to 2020 theme of the Child Protection Week and the remarks of the former UN Secretary General. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed life as we know it and has laid bare the areas where our education system needs strengthening. For instance, the backlog of pit latrines, which is mainly in farm schools, and patchy internet access in part of the province are exacerbating education inequalities. The picture above is a regretful one, although we need to salute the Department of Education for how it has committed resources and human capacity towards managing the impact of the pandemic on education in the province. We welcome plans and indicated the department to eradicate all pit latrines by the end of the current financial year. We appreciate how the department has implemented and maintained the National School Nutrition Program, which provides nutritious meals to learners from poor and working class families. Although the new normal will require more effort from the department to ensure that learners wash hands before eating to prevent germs from spreading and making them understand and appreciate that it's for their own health and fight against the spread of coronavirus. Teachers, support staff, and learners all have their own roles to play in the day-to-day operation of schools during this COVID-19 pandemic. And it is a great understanding that the Department of Education has rolled out a successful orientation program which empowers teachers, support staff, and learners with useful information about their own personal roles and responsibilities. Madam Speaker, furthermore, the department developed posters and Z folders, flyers distributed to schools and given learners, teachers, and school community about COVID-19 awareness and measures to combat and manage it, as well as educational programs to help learners. We note the tremendous work during this reopening of school because out of 1,122 schools in the province, 1,121 opened without hiccups and only 2 schools couldn't open, namely Ritumetse Primary School in Kroonstad and Botshabelo Primary School due to water supply challenges. But we are very happy with the commitment by the department to ensure that no school operates without safe drinking water. It is for this reason that water reservoirs and JoJo tanks were procured to assist with water storage in schools that has challenges of water. We call on the department to prioritize schools in Thabo Mofokeng district where there is insufficient water supply by providing additional water tanks during COVID-19 period to make sure that there's always availability of running water in all schools. We are confident that the department will accede to this request. Honorable Speaker, we encourage schools with the support of the community to grow food gardens so that the educators and learners can learn how to grow vegetables and fruits. Vegetables grown or produced from the school's garden can add fresh and healthy food for the school meals and school gardens, so also beauty of the environment across the globe. The echoes of apartheid are felt in many aspects of South Africa. Under apartheid, the government forcibly located many Africans in inaccessible areas. Now, accessing schools from these previous segregated communities is hampered by long distances learners have to travel to get to schools, threats to their safety and security, and cost of transport. But the ANC government has emphasized that learners' transport was important to realize the right of access to quality education, and has since then dealt with alarming rate of lack of school transport in remote areas. The Free State Department of Education accounts to 9,000 scholars on learner transport. Despite the good work by the department, we urge them to fix challenges such as late payment of service providers, use of dilapidated cars that are prone to breaking down to transport learners, and ensuring that those service providers adhere to health and safety protocols of COVID-19. Madam Speaker, in 1996, former President Mandela stated that as long as women are bound by poverty and as long as they are looked down upon, human rights will lack substance. In order to preserve a woman's and girl's dignity, it is important that they have access to adequate sanitary products, and other requirements to achieve sanitary dignity. We commend the Department of Education for their unwavering commitment to the Sanitary Dignity Project that helps ensure that girls and young women concentrate during learning. We encourage the Department on Sanitary Dignity must be extended to include men and boys, families, communities, community leaders, and civil society in general. Honorable Speaker, last night on the 23rd of July 2020, President Cyril Ramaphosa made a statement on the progress in the national effort to contain COVID-19 pandemic from the Union Building in Tshwane. The President highlighted that as of last night, the total number of confirmed cases stands at 408,052. He reminded us that we need to brace ourselves for the difficult weeks ahead, and part of bracing ourselves means putting health and well-being of learners and educators first. The ANC welcomed a bold and decisive statement on temporary closure of schools. This decision was born out of extensive and consultative process with various stakeholders and expert bodies, as well as we welcome it unreservedly. The Department of Education should take an opportunity to tie the loose ends to ensure that grade 12 and other teachers, after a week, they return to a healthy and safe environment that will not impede their progress. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Free State Department of Education foresight once more confirms why we are #1 province in education. They have over the years built a strong matric program, and with the allocation of this budget, we trust it will bolster the better prepare of the return of grade 12 on the 3rd of August 2020 and subsequently other grades. Uyasho umXhosa uthi inja ikonkotha imoto ebalekayo emileyo iyayichamela. We further welcome the pronouncement that the current academic year will be extended beyond the end of June. As a result of this disruption caused by the pandemic. Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Khadebe, there's a point of order. Just a
Madam
minute.
Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Point of order.
Madam Speaker. Deputy Speaker. Ke kopa ntate Kgatebe a itoletse ka speaker ka Sekgowa. You said we must use English because there is no translation. You stop us to speak Sesotho, but there is nothing you say to Mr. Kgatebe. Madam Speaker, that is why I told you before that rule the house, please.
Honorable Nanyan, I'm going to rule over this. We do have other languages or other issues that we cannot interpret it in English. Therefore, Honorable Khatebe, you may continue.
On a point of order, Deputy Speaker, may I address you?
Wait, Bambile, Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker,
Allow us, Deputy Speaker, to run.
Thank you, Deputy
Deputy
Speaker.
Speaker, on a point of order, may I address you? It's Honorable Khachau.
Order.
Is it a point of order, Honorable Khachau?
Yes, it is, Deputy Speaker.
I'm listening.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, previously, you requested Honorable Nanyani to withdraw her referral to the President as a cupcake. Now, Utatu Khatebe just referred to members who have any opposing views to that of the ANC as Izinja Ponkotayo. That is disrespectful. That is basically saying we're in Godoy as honorable members. That is disrespectful. We can't be referred to as dogs in this house. May you order him to withdraw.
Honorable Khachau, that is how you interpret it. I
Yeah.
don't think that is not. I don't think that is what has Honorable Khatebe explained.
Don't be biased.
Honorable,
Honorable Speaker,
Hey, how out of order?
Speaker, don't be biased.
Honorable Khatebe,
Deputy Speaker,
over
Thank
to
you.
Take a particular ruling
I will say you must
on,
Thank you.
on
Balola molato la ikatlhola.
from the organization.
Thank you,
Rule
Speaker.
different.
order, honorable members.
Must not be emotional.
Yeah,
Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable members,
Apply rules, don't apply emotions.
No,
there's no emotions here. Let us
You are
continue.
emotional, Muswena.
If you rule against Menanyane, when you are
Thank you, Speaker.
resistance.
Order, honorable members. Order.
They are concocting.
Honorable Speaker.
Deputy Speaker, how
Honorable
different
Deputy
what
Speaker.
Menanyane said from what Ntate said.
You are concocting.
No, it's fine.
Stop concocting.
It's okay, Honorable.
Order now.
We know how to be unruly.
Honorable members. Honorable members, can we be in order?
Honorable Deputy Speaker, may I address you?
Honorable Khachau, let me address you. What?
We're going to use word in
Can
this
I address
house.
you?
From now on, we're going to use word.
Honorable members,
We're going to refer people as Godoi.
honorable members, what? Honorable Khatebe has never
Why
mentioned
must I
the name
mute
of
these
the
speakers? I want to
Can you honorable members, can you listen? Honorable Khatebe has never mentioned a name of the individual.
People as Mikodoi.
No. I'm still on the platform. I'm saying Honorable Khatebe has never mentioned a name of the individual. And this is
So
it is
is
just
Honorable
not you are referring to either any person in this house.
Heban.
Honorable Khatebe, can you continue?
Honorable Deputy Speaker, on a
No,
point of
thanks.
They will refer each other as Mikodoi.
Honorable Deputy Speaker. Even though we are faced with a crisis.
on a point of order,
Honorable.
Honorable I rule over your point of order. Is this another point of order?
Yes, it is, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Yes, man,
It can be a point of order on top of another point of order. It can be.
Honorable,
Deputy Speaker, I'm not sure whether we have sangomas in the house that know what my brain has to say.
What is a sangoma in English?
I did.
You want people to explain what they said, and you come and say
members,
sango.
order.
Honorable
Honorable
Sangoma,
members,
still Sangoma
can I
lang
listen
yes,
to
man.
order, honorable
Sangoma
members?
lang yes, man.
Can I listen to Honorable Kakao?
Yes, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, is on a matter of consistency, Honorable Deputy Speaker. In the previous ruling, Honorable Nanyani did not say the
Speaker, what
president.
rule is that? The point
She
of
only said
consistency, what
cupcake,
rule is that?
and yet she was supposed to withdraw. In this case,
What rule is
the
that?
statement of
Point of consistency.
he didn't. So why
Honorable
can't he?
Kakao, don't write
On
to
the
Deputy Speaker.
when you made on the same
Honorable Kakao, can I address you?
bias.
I hear what you're saying. Can I address you? Can I address you? I've ruled over
Yes, but
I've ruled over the issue that you raised, and I don't know what else is left behind. I've indicated clearly Khadebe did not mention either of you in the house, and I've therefore ruled over it. Honorable Khadebe, continue.
She goes back to what you have finalized ruling on.
No, thanks, Deputy Speaker, which indeed is correct. On idiomatic expressions, we can only provide interpretations, but we cannot offer translation. Honorable Deputy Speaker, even though we are faced with a crisis, we applaud the Department of Education Free State work in ensuring and understanding that education is primary and through high school plays vital role in formative years of school children's life. It shapes personality, ability to work, and help them discover their potential. The road ahead will be long and difficult. The task of recovery from COVID-19 effects will be considerable, but we shall overcome. The drive will be too long, the seats too few, and the people too many. I rest my case. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Khadebe. Let me give over to Honorable MEC Makolo Mohale to close the debate. Over to you, MEC. Acting MEC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Let me first deal with one of the issues. One honorable member advised me that listening is a skill, but I think the honorable member could have started by demonstrating that in practice, because when coming to issues of the closure of non-viable schools and non-viable routes, it was made clear that they will then be closed so that those learners are placed in at no point where we said we'll close non-viable schools.
Honorable Mohale, just a minute. Honorable Kabati, can you mute? Thank you. Continue.
Thanks. When the honorable, if the honorable member could have practiced what she say, she could have led us in ensuring that she listens properly. Because what we have said is that we will close non-viable schools and place the learners into hostels, not close non-viable schools and put learners onto scholar transport. I think that is one of the first lessons that honorable member must practice what she recommends for others. But secondly, let's demystify the opportunistic attempt to mislead society that Western Cape is doing better than the Free State. One, if you look at the numbers of the learners that are doing very well in the Free State, they are the learners that are from those quintiles where we have majority of them being coming from the poorest background. And it is a very opportunistic comparison with the Western Cape because the same Western Cape is only those that are coming from Model C schools, those that are advanced, where actually DA is investing a lot of money at, that are doing well. So DA will not have, will not be so brave to come and demonstrate to us that of all the learners that have performed well, a substantial number comes from Kaelicha, from Gugule, because there is none. So here in this, with the example, the opportunistic example that Honorable Peter Wade tries to demonstrate, she in fact demonstrated and exposed themselves as the DA continues to be organization, not of the poor, but in fact it is an anti-poor organization, because in the Western Cape, their resources goes to Cape Town,
Honorable MEC Mohale.
okay.
Honorable
The DA is
MEC
only in
Mohale,
the DA is
just
only
pause a
in
minute.
Cape Town, not in Free State.
Honorable Jankelson, is it a point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. It is clear that the Honorable MEC is deliberately misleading this House regarding the Western Cape. We know that 80 to 90% of the Western Cape's budget
Chair,
goes
that's
to
not a
non-Model
point
C
of
schools.
order. It's a
The MEC is manipulating statistics to suit a political agenda.
That's not a point of
What is rule are you calling a point of order?
Yeah, that MEC correct. Yes, I am.
Honorable Mohale, continue.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. I must, when I conclude this matter, Deputy Speaker, also one of the aspects that demonstrate opportunism.
And a proud Free Staters.
It is only when the Western Cape started not to be #1 province in terms of metrics that the DA started to see everything wrong with the matriculation system. They started to question the figures, they started to question formulas, because now the Western Cape is no more #1. But throughout, when Western Cape was #1, there was never an issue. So they must be told that we will not allow them to mislead our people that there is anything wrong with the quality of education. But I'm not the Honorable Deputy Speaker. Let me demonstrate what the African National Congress has done, because there is always, the education does not take place in vacuum. The education system, it is part of the integrated developmental program that a government or the state seeks to change the lives and the conditions of our people. And it is for that reason, as been accepted by one member of this House, Honorable Klute, that it is true you need to invest a lot in the foundation phase. And his acknowledgements clearly demonstrates that it is not only the view of the ANC, but even the opposition parties, which are fair in assessing, in responding to the efforts of government. They are able to acknowledge that the ANC is doing good because the matric results are a subject of much work that has been done from grade R. It is not by coincidence that now, if you look at these budgets, more of the budget has been dedicated specifically on the grade R and even the other foundation phase, because we need to have a proper foundation, which majority of our black people, they never had. And the reason that you don't have all of them, the throughput rate being so low, is because of socio-economic conditions. Because the children of you and I from the township do not have the same privilege of the same as those of other members who are staying in the affluent areas, where they don't even have the necessary apparatus for learning. Some of the kids in the township only knows even to operate a cell phone or even a computer once they reach a high school. Whereas the children of the wise people, unapologetically so, they have always had access there. And people must remember that when we come in 1994, we did not just come in smooth sailing into a system which was equal. Part of the work that we are still doing now is to do and correct all of those imbalances. The reason now even some of our kids were unable to have online learning is because they do not have those necessary digital gadgets, which we are working very hard to ensure that we equalize. So it will be very opportunistic for someone to come and grandstand and say the ANC government is not doing it. But let me share you with the Deputy Speaker that because I indicated as the education is one of the tools to change the society. That is why consciously the African national government, through the Department of Education, has changed the type of education that we are doing. That is why there is three-stream model that we have spoken about now, where we are now focusing on the automotives, where we are focusing on all those specialities, the technology, as a food basket of the country. We are now investing not only in agriculture, but even in agricultural education. And the reason that others will not be happy is because we are now beginning to touch the nerve, we are now beginning to touch their table, because they have been the only ones. The apartheid Bantu education system has always presented opportunities for whites-only schools. That is why they were denying us access there. Now the ANC government consciously, that is why we are now under the current financial year. We are declaring 28 schools to fall under that category, so that you don't have to travel to town, you don't have to go to a school far in order for you to access the relevant education required by the economy. That is why we are bringing it to them. We will change the economic outlook of Harib by the 3 schools that we are saying we are going to put them there. People of Harib, the implication is that they will not have to come to Bloemfontein to find better lives and others. And we know, because that one, it actually hurts on the agenda of some of the political parties, because they always want us to see the black child being disadvantaged. So with these budgets that we are presenting, the all issues around the infrastructure, they have been taken care of. Honorable Speaker, more than 12 million has just been spent to go and renovate the schools.
Minutes.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Speaker. That money that we are using to go and renovate and repair the vandalized school is the money that we're supposed to be using to ensure that we advance this program. So we call upon our people to guard the schools. But I must also demystify the other opportunistic grandstanding that it was not less than 10 schools that were open. In the pronouncement, even Honorable Khadabe indicates the names of the schools. It will be very reckless for someone to just come and climb on the rooftop and declare that there were many schools without even mentioning. That should be rejected as a pure lie, and members must be told not to mislead the House, because even the response written given to the member was very clear. It's only the 2 schools. The other ones that she is imagining, perhaps she must give us so that we know. But we remain committed as African National Congress government, because we even provided 180 water tanks to the schools to address the issue of a pandemic. We have provided even mobile classes to address the issue of social distance. So we have done all that is possible because we care for our learners. We didn't just fold our hands. So before people come and stay here, I think they need to get their facts correct. The ANC government remains the only hope of our people, and through education, we will change their social condition. It is through education that will not be apologetic to ensure that the opportunities that used to be enjoyed by the children of the wise people, we are now bringing them through education system, so that at the end of the day, the better life that we promised our people can be realized through education. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Very much, Honorable MEC, acting MEC.
Status, Honorable Makalor.
Members, can we break for 30 minutes so that we can manage to grab something? But after 30 minutes from now, we are starting with the last budget vote. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Proudly Free Status. We are not in Cape Town.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Acting Speaker. Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Makalo. Thank you, Makalo.
Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Makalo. Thank you, War.
Thank you, Makalo. Maki.
Hello.
Honorable Mahasa,
Kaka Mazamba.
That's
Pamela, listen here. We have 11 official languages in South Africa, as well as unofficial and few extinct ones. A few South African languages even have it's an amazing rich collection. When we speak South Africa, our languages are rich.
Mr. Makala. Mr. Makala.
That's machine.
Yes, I'm saying what Adekadeb was saying, sarcasm.
Mr.
Others understand our
This one's a
machine.
It's a break of 5 minutes. From that 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
Honorable members are lazy.
No. Maki Mahasa, I was just saying what that Dekadebe was talking about. It's sarcasm, called sarcasm.
How's mommy?
So, that's machine nakusam jalo nyametse.
Maki, how's you?
Ke a utlwa babs, ke a utlwa ntate machine mna ntse a bua ke sa mo utlwa no.
Pero wena o santse o hlafunyele mo.
Comrade AC we bambile.
Ka o santse o hlafunyele mo bathong. Hema o santse o hlafunyele ho rena mo. Hi, Tabo, I'm concocting. Why are you hlafunyeling here?
Concotters, my Mickey. Concotter. I'm following you. I'm concocting too.
Eu até focus mommy. Let Peter away, you don't have food.
Hey, Jesus!
You don't have food. Magnitus Jakawa.
Yo, the way we look at that, yo. On good dealership.
Ntate Mofokeng, you may read the motion.
Itimbeke be ho na le connection ije.
Ntate Machaka, if you are around, can you assist Ntate Mofokeng and read the motion so that we may allow social development to present?
Itimbeke teng mama. Itimbeke ke mighty.
Kyo a khone motho o kena motho a Itimbeke.
Ke gore na o Itimbeke ba Bloemfontein now.
No, he's busy concocting.
Ngakala. Hoe kom dit Nangisa? Dit is vandaag.
Honorable Chair of Chairs, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Ntate Mofokeng.
All right. That leave be granted for the second reading debate on the appropriation bill B4 2020, vote 7, social development.
Thank you, Secretary. Honorable members, before the House, it's a vote number 7, the Department of Social Development. I shall now allow Honorable MEC Mamidi Kabati to address the House. Over to you, MEC Kabati.
Bokot.
No, thank you very much, Chair of Chairs. Let me appreciate the opportunity given, and let me appreciate the presence of the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, Chair of Chairs, the Premier, members of the Executive, members of the Legislature, our executive mayors, speakers, and all the councillors in general, the Director General, heads of departments, and senior managers in all spheres of government. The representatives of the NPOs and the ECDs and the broader civil society. Members of the business fraternity, representatives of NEHAU, the PSA and other labor partners and media houses, comrades, compatriots, and esteemed guests. A good day to all of you. Chair of Chairs, COVID-19 has plunged countries, even with the best economies, in turmoil, leading to deaths and a deepened suffering. The Free State is no exception to the challenges. The true scale of job losses, hunger, and homelessness is immeasurable. Government would have to provide rapid social assistance to families in need, in particular to groups which were already at a disadvantage. The damage caused by the pandemic will live with us even long after the cure has been found, if it will be found. Although government acted swiftly by implementing a nationwide lockdown within 7 days, our mitigation measures have come with a very high cost. The department sought to minimize the spread of the virus to the vulnerable groups by suspending certain activities and operations in its facilities and redirected the finances to responding to COVID-19 pandemic. These control measures will be progressively relaxed in line with applicable lockdown regulations. However, as we move to the lower levels of the lockdown, we will strengthen our oversight role on our residential facilities to ensure compliance with COVID-19 regulations whilst ensuring the quality of our services. This speech is therefore being delivered under very challenging circumstances, Honorable Chair of Chairs. We continue to dedicate our budget votes to our stalwarts of our movement who led our struggles against repression. This year, we salute the late Comrade Nomzamo Winnie Madikizela Mandela, who, despite the restrictions on education of Black people, earned a degree and became the first qualified Black social worker in the country. When she was offered a scholarship, Chair of Chairs, to go and study further in the USA, Winnie, Mama, chose to remain in South Africa and take up a position as one of South Africa's best largest hospital instead. A social worker by profession, a social worker at heart. Think of her, Chair of Chairs, if she was still alive, her age and her health status would not have stopped her to be at the front line to save the lives and assist the vulnerable. Now, our social workers, who despite the fear of their lives and of their loved ones, are still stepping out of their homes to be at the front line, to be at the cold face of COVID-19, to comfort and console those who test positive and their affected loved ones. I wish to say to our social workers, you are our Winnie Mandelas of today. Lalangokolo Kawegas, your daughter Zinzi has just joined you in heaven. May your revolutionary spirits continue to guide us to do good in saving our people. To our Honorable Premier, Me Sufura Sisintombele, at the State of the Province address, when you addressed us on the 25th of February 2020, giving us our line of march in a very unambiguous way, you said that the struggle we fought for all the years was never an end in itself, but a means to an end. Today's budget vote, therefore, draws inspiration from your State of the Province address as our Honorable Premier. Today, I address this House to give assurance that the challenges facing our communities within the province, we will soldier on to address them. Honorable Chair of Chairs, over the past year, since I first stood here to deliver the budget speech of the Department of Social Development, we have been seized with the task of tackling increasing socio-economic challenges. Needless to mention, these challenges have since deepened with the outbreak of the pandemic. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, Section 27, establishes legally enforceable obligations on government that encompass every aspect of a system of social development and protection. It enjoins us to care for the most marginalized of the society, that is inclusive of children, youth, women, the aged, people ravaged by substance abuse, domestic violence, crimes, and persons with disabilities, as well as the LGBTQI communities. Chair of Chairs, it is important to note that this budget vote comes against the background of the adoption of the new government medium-term strategic framework 2020 to 2025, in which the new social sector strategy has been approved, and with it, the new departmental strategy 2020 to 2025. Our department is therefore also undergoing organizational restructuring to comply with the amendments to the new mandate. The new structure will be purpose-built and assist to achieve the new strategic objectives of the department. Our plans as outlined in our new draft strategic plan for 2020-2025 seek to address the 7 priorities of government and are illustrated in our presentation of our programs. Chairs, for the 2020 MTEF period, the department received a budget allocation of 1.4 billion. In 2020-2021, it will increase to 1.5 billion. In 2021 to 2022, it will increase to 1.572 billion. With the reprioritization of the 2020-2021 provincial budgets towards COVID-19 pandemic, an additional amount of 25.4 million was allocated for COVID-19 measures. The 25.4 million is specifically earmarked as follows. 6.4 of it will be for personnel, protective equipment, and 19 million will go to social services support. Included in the allocation for social services support is an allocation of 3.8 million for appointment of 92 social workers assisting with COVID-19 response measures. The 1.4 billion allocation for 2020-2021 financial year is allocated into and within the 5 programs. Program 1, Chair of Chairs, which deals with priority 6, is 310 million. Program 2, which deals with social services, is 266 million. Program 3, which deals with children and families, is 563 million. Program 4, which deals with restorative services, is 187 million. And Program 5, which deals with development and research, is 163 million. Under Program 1, which is administration, which deals with priority 6, which focuses on building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Chairs, during our previous budget vote, we committed to enhance capacity at all 9 departmental institutions and district offices with filling critical appointments. We had identified 192 critical appointments. I am happy to announce, Chair of Chairs, that we delivered on the mandate. I am proud to report that 188 appointments have been made. 4 other appointments that we could not achieve is because of some of the other people who could not accept our offers. So we have delivered on that mandate. Chair of Chairs, we undertook to make several critical appointments, including reducing the amount of overtime that we incur. The department thereupon appointed critical entry-level posts, such as nursing assistants, cleaners, security personnel, laundry aides, housekeeping supervisors, food services aides, child and youth care workers and care workers. We did not make a significant reduction on overtime, but we are working on it. We believe that ultimately we will be able to win over a lot of money that we are using on overtime. Appointment of persons with disability. In 2019-2020 budget vote, Chair of Chairs, I had committed to making a concerted effort to improve on the employment of people with disabilities and the LGBTQI plus community. In a State of the Province address, the Honorable Premier has also highlighted on the achievement we have reached up to this far. We have therefore exceeded and now stand at 5% disability representativity as a result of the 74 new appointments that we made of people with disabilities. And we are on track, Chair of Chairs, to attain 7% as required by the white paper on the rights of people with disabilities. The total number of people with disabilities in the department stands at 104. The appointments of persons with disability comes against the background of sustained campaigns, dialogues, summits, and marches. We jointly led with the people with disabilities these marches and campaigns and summits. We deliberated with them to understand their challenges, and when we filled the posts, we fill them with relevant people, understanding different disabilities that are there. Amongst others of the lesser known disabilities are invisible disabilities, and it was interesting to hear and know about them. I don't think that there's a department, even up to national, that has beaten us on this record, Chair of Chairs. The Act talks about 2%. The white paper talks about 7%. We are on 5%, gearing ourselves to 7% of people with a disability. Therefore, the Department of Social Development takes the lead and provides the platform where vulnerable people have the right to be heard, participate, and have their values, preference, and interests respected, including enjoying access to decent jobs. Now, moving ahead to 2020-2021, this financial year, the year of the COVID pandemic, there is still a silver line around the dark cloud. Because I'm saying this, Chair of Chairs, because 92 social workers, despite the challenges, found themselves being appointed in the Department of Social Development in this financial year. The Chair of Chairs, in intensifying our fight against COVID-19, the Minister of Social Development, Honorable Minister Lindiwezu, announced the recruitment of 1,809 social workers across the country to reinforce the current workforce and to provide a range of social work services, including timely psychosocial interventions to support affected individuals and families relating to COVID-19 pandemic. The Free State Province was thereupon allocated 92 posts of that 1,809. And this is what I was referring to. And contracts were supposed to have been only 3 months as per the mandate from national. But I am sitting here, I want to thank the Premier and the executive of the Free State because they looked for some funds elsewhere, scrap there, and ultimately these 92 social workers, their contracts are extended with another 9 months, so they're going to be with us for a full year instead of just 3 months. And I hope that the legislature at all times when it engages, it will look into this so that ultimately we make them a full time, we don't just take them for a year. These 92 social workers, 52 of them are deployed at the 52 circuits of the Department of Education to go and assist in the schools. The remaining 40 is working closely with the Department of Health during screening and testing to give psychosocial support for the Department of Health as they are doing their duty, but also at the schools, because we know the challenges that we are having at the schools. Also in this 2020-2021 financial year, the department will appoint a cohort of 37 social work supervisors, social work managers, and social work policy developers, who will also be responsible to supervise the 92 social workers referred to above and further contribute to the mitigation of the challenges posed by COVID-19. It is with great sadness, Chair of Chairs, that the pandemic is regressing the gains that we need to reflect. Because with the appointments that we are making, trying to win over the virus, we are also regressed by the fact that some of our officials get infected, others affected by a COVID pandemic. In the department, as we speak, we have 30 staff members who tested positive. 13 of them, 13 of the 30 are a mixture of social workers and auxiliary social workers. But like Winnie Mandela, they were at the front line of their duty. Some of their colleagues continue to be at the front line despite the conditions that they are working under, despite seeing some of their colleagues being infected, they still stand tall, strong, and go out and go help our communities where there is a need. Like Winnie Mandela, they are there to be at the front line. I therefore, Chair of Chairs, bow to them and salute them. Speaker, I am Chair of Chairs. I am pleased to announce that the 35 security leadership participants, with effect from the 1st of August 2020, this security personnel will be appointed on a full-time basis on a salary level as mandated by the Executive Council of the province. They would no longer be on leadership, but would be full-time. On training and collaboration, During the previous budget vote, I committed the department to provide training for social workers on loss and trauma, dealing with adult victims that were sexually molested, and children, and mediation. I hereby report that through the partnership with the University of the Free State, 79 social workers were trained on the above. A total number of 21 fourth-year students studying social work degree also conducted their 4-month practical sessions in our department. In addition to that, another 12 third-year students were assisted with their 2-week practical sessions in our Department of Social Development, which assisted the students with their observations. Chair of Chairs, I am also pleased to announce that the department will, in this financial year, appoint 103 entry and middle level officials in operationalizing the Botshabelo Substance Abuse Center. These appointments will ensure both upward mobility of our current officials and the employment of the unemployed. On information and communication technology, the disruptive nature of COVID-19 has woken us up to the urgency to enhance our IT efficiencies. Through the adoption of digital technology, we have therefore signed a contract with Microsoft to design, develop, and implement a suite of information and communication technology to digitalize our manual and paper-based systems. I want to appreciate the Chair of Chairs that we are also saving a lot on traveling, accommodation, and catering by holding our departmental meetings digitally through the Microsoft visual platform. There's a silver lining around a dark cloud. On infrastructure, through the past year, the department has been inundated with contravention notices due to poor physical conditions of our buildings. The department received an allocation of 7.3 million for maintenance of 40 buildings. Because of this limited budget allocated to us, the focus area in 2020-2021 financial year will be on maintenance and renovations of the 9 state institutions in order to improve the health and safety measures. We here, Chair of Chairs, we are referring to residential facilities for the elder people, the children and the youth, and centers for children in conflict with the law. On maintenance of unregistered to conditionally registered ECDs, with the main aim, objective of elevating this to full registration. During the past financial year, the department assisted 128 ECDs centers with minor occupational health and safety standards. These included, but not limited to, issues such as firefighting equipment, first aid kits for the ECDs. The assessment of registration of institutions is still in progress. The department is allocated a conditional grant of 7.7 million in 2020-2021 financial year to undertake minor maintenance on 28 ECD centers. I wanted to emphasize something in Sesotho, but hey, I have heard that we are being limited, Chair of Chairs. The department received a conditional grant allocation of 2.5 million in 2020-2021 financial year to construct early childhood development centers using certified alternative building technologies. 2.5 million of chairs, only 2 early childhood development centers. In the province, we are having 1,260 unregistered ECDs that needs our help. And of the 1,260, I am here presenting that will only be helping 2. This is a cause for concern. And I hope the Premier will understand better as a former MEC for social development, and that the EXCO and the legislature will do good on this matter, that we work in a much more better way. On care services to older people, Honorable Premier Sisim Tombela reminded us that we will be judged by how we treat the elderly. That old age grants, social relief programs, and old age homes should be provided to show that we are a caring government. Because older persons are more vulnerable to catching the virus and developing complications if they are infected, we have therefore also suspended public access to residential facilities to mitigate the spread of the virus during applicable lockdown levels. We continue to assess our residential facilities for compliance to COVID-19 regulations. We are reprioritizing funding towards COVID-19 related needs, such as PPEs, sanitizers, and other means of sustenance. The Department of Social Development is the custodian of the Older Persons Act 13 of 2006, and we provide community-based care and support services, residential and social work services in partnership with our NGOs. For this, we have allocated 51 million for support services to create an enabling environment for older persons to live with dignity, free of abuse, and to function independently. In this way, we try to show and indicate that the ANC is a caring government. On services to persons with disabilities, Speaker, Chief Chairs, I have already spoken about the appointments that we have made that are putting us at 5%. But that is not where we are ending in terms of disability. The Constitution and the White Paper on the rights of persons with disability also enjoin us to ensure that all persons live with dignity and are free from abuse and function independently. Last year, I gave myself time to listen, as I said, to people with disabilities, all the sectors, and we have strengthened our working relations with people with disabilities. The department has therefore partnered with an NGO sector to provide services to persons with disability, including children with disabilities. And for this, the budget allocation is 25.5 million. Talking about children with disabilities, there are children with autism whose families learn very late about the condition of their children and do not know how to deal with it. The department provided, in responding to that need, as we said, that we will help. The department provided a once-off funding in 2019-2020 budget to an autism NPO called the Nazarene Center for Children with Autism, benefiting 17 children, including 5 caregivers. All the caregivers received stipends from EPWP. For this financial year, the NPO has been considered for funding to the tune of 193,680,000, and the caregivers will continue to give stipends from this allocation. Chair of Chairs, the department is mandated through National Strategic Plan 2017 to 2022 to lead Goal 4, which seeks to address the social and structural drivers of HIV, TB, STIs, and gender-based violence. In response to this mandate, the department developed a publication of social and behavioral change programs. We have received an allocation of 4.6 million for the implementation of social behavior change program. This 4.6 million will go towards working with the 123 civil organizations that we are having in the province. Under Program 3, Children and Families, which the services are to children, the Department of Social Development, as the custodian of the Children's Act 38 of 2005, there are statutory services that, if not provided, might lead to litigations. That's why in the department, we were given a budget to deal with such challenges. Some of the challenges for the backlog were attributed to the shortage of social workers because of high caseload, which is currently 1 to 250, as opposed to a norm of 1 to 60. I hope members of the legislature, all of them, understand the challenges that the social workers are facing with and that they're having a burnout. Instead of 1 to 60 norm, they are working on a caseload of 1 to 150, one person working with 250 cases. As a result of COVID-19, our foster care backlog is affected. Currently, less cases are being brought before the courts. However, our social workers' recovery plans are in place. For provision of childcare and protection services, the department set aside 37.2 million to transfer to the NPOs that are doing these services. We need to ensure that...
I'm sorry to interject you. You are left with 5 minutes.
Chair of Chairs. Sure. Chair of Chairs, 12.5 million from National Treasury, which we are appreciating, and 6.1 million from the Provincial Treasury, which we are also appreciating, that we got for the child and youth care centers, helped us to increase their unit cost to 4,000 rand per child per month. This may not be sufficient in comparison with the current fiscal situation, but the department has an obligation to comply with the Nawongo judgment. On other challenges that we are having on early childhood development, Chair of Chairs, is to ensure better performance in formal schooling, which could later result in improved levels of employment at a later stage of life. As a priority to addressing the need to build education skills and health, the department invests in and ensures the provision of quality early childhood development services to our children. With the onset of COVID-19, all ECDs, which are 1,056, were closed on the 18th of March due to lockdown, affecting a total number of 52,496 children. as well as children in 1,260 unregistered ECDs. The department has received an allocation to support the 48,685 children at 17 rand per day for 264 days. Through the equitable share allocation, a further 42 million has been allocated through conditional grant. The latter allocation is earmarked for expansion of the subsidy from the current 3,821 children to 9,369 children to increase the unit cost from 15 rand to 17 rand per child per day for 264 days. Despite the closure of the ECDs, we continue to fund the ECD partially in order to pay for the workers' salaries, rent for buildings and other critical facilities. On the reopening of these ECDs, Chairperson, we will await the mandate from the minister at national level. But as we are awaiting the mandate from the minister, we have encouraged the ECDs to do self-assessment in the state of readiness in terms of COVID-19 regulations. We have given out 2,316 forms, which are for registered and unregistered ECDs, because we are expected to assist even those that are unregistered. So far, 1,275 forms have been received back. Now, I want to make a call, Chair of Chairs, at this platform, that those that have not yet returned the forms, they should know that we are not going to delay those that complied because of them. Walala, wasala, wasala, walimala. From the conditional grant allocation, an amount of 9.5 million will be used to provide to unfunded ECDs with support package that includes basic health and hygiene products. This is also a repurposed allocation. Decongestion of ECDs remain a challenge, and it needs us to have 15.6 million, which we do not have, which all of us must look into it. How do we respond? On Program 4 of Restorative Services, which deals with violence against women and children. Chair of Chairs, last financial year budget speech, we said we will open the Vepenar and the Botterville shelters. We did open them. So this financial year, we have set aside a total budget allocation of 3.9 million.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC. Unfortunately, that was 40 minutes allocated to you. Thank you very much. I must now afford the chairperson of the committee to be the first one to participate in the debate. Honorable Thabo Meko, can you then address the House?
Chair, I wish that you could allocate some to her to finish.
If there is time remaining, Honorable Meko, at the end of the debate, upon the MEC's reply, she can further deliberate on her speech. Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Even with the borrowed or loaned.
Thank you for your modesty. We really appreciate. Our point of argument is going to emphasize issues why we would have hoped that the MEC would have concluded. Chair of Chairs, let's welcome the budget vote and of course support it. Of course, we take note of the fact that it is taking cue from the state of the province address. It's been some time. I know the majority of us might have forgotten the content, quite importantly, but also, of course, to readjust into the current challenges confronting us. I want to indicate, Chair, that throughout our interaction with issues relating to the Department of Social Development, We've always believed, and it continues to be our belief, that programs of this particular department has got to be elevated and be given prominence, even if it will be at the level of the budget. We will greatly assist, partly because it remains central to the strategic stance anchored on the needs of South African poor and the vulnerable. MEC, it is because of the progress in confronting apartheid legacy, as well as fulfilling the SOPA injunctions, quite importantly, to implement the People's Manifesto and the many challenges that are confronting our people, that we welcome your speech in that context. We think that the speech continues our struggle to address immense socio-economic problems brought about by the consequences of apartheid till today. We are not going to shy about to emphasize that point. And of course, Chair, the current economic trajectory continues to reproduce these social ills. We will overemphasize as well that point moving forward, because we think that it has got to be done so. We knew then, Chair, and now that poverty alleviation and stronger economy are deeply interrelated, as well mutually supporting objectives that we're seeking to achieve. Meaning for us that redistribution without growth is financially unsustainable, while growth in itself without redistribution will fail to address the structural transformation of the economy. Chair of Chairs, while the NDP recognizes that the democratic government has achieved significant milestones, this is not political gimmicks. It's fact, it's reality, and we must say it as we appreciate the difficult conditions that are confronting us. That indeed democratic government has achieved these important milestones over its 2 decades of administration, which includes, amongst many, the implementation, quite critical, of comprehensive social protection system, and of course, the establishment of minimum standards linked to a social wage and the elimination of racial inequalities. Inequalities is our ghost, and that ghost has got to be confronted. You are correct, Ms. Kavati. COVID-19 reminds us that challenges remain, and we are happy that the budget speech review progress highlights areas that need to be taken forward and focused in the context of the pandemic, the current problems. However, MEC, we want to place overemphasis on these matters: gender-based violence and the scourge of patriarchy. And we want to say, Chair, that this is a twin brother to both race and class exploitation, except that it's a different coin of the different side of the coin, depending where you stand politically, if you want to interpret it fair. The point that we want to make, Chair, is the proximity forced on families and partners during lockdown, compounded by the socio-economic stress of loss of income, hunger, unemployment, and uncertainty, also expressed itself during the COVID-19 pandemic in the rise in gender-based violence, especially domestic violence and intimate partner violence. This is amongst the persistent socialization effects of patriarchy. A man's worth is still being judged by their ability to provide for their families, and of course as breadwinners, even though more than 1/3 of families today, not only in our country, the world over, are female-headed. Across class and race, patriarchy assigns the roles of breadwinners and heads of families to men, and carrying roles for home, children, the elderly, sick, and people with disabilities are assigned to women. It is a problem, according to our argument. But thus, Chair, domestic violence and physical and emotional, verbal, and other forms of abuse of women, of some men, and of children in home, do not occur because society tells men it is fine to be abusive, but because patriarchy tells them that they are entitled to control over their women and children. As we therefore fight COVID-19 pandemic and its socio-economic effect,
The struggle to challenge and transform patriarchal relations should continue on all fronts. In this regard, Chair, we must consciously scrutinize all interventions during this period through a gender lens as a key unit of analysis and the impact on women's economic and social position, on power relations between men and women, and especially the impact on poor, elderly, and working class women. Civil society, Chair, business, progressive men must work with government, with gender and women-based organizations, NGOs, to put in place a systematic program to monitor, report, and respond to rising gender-based violence, giving support to victims during and beyond the pandemic, and uniting of cause in the struggle against patriarchy. Black women in particular are still burdened by the legacy of triple oppression, class, race, and gender, remain most affected by the social and economic impact of the pandemic. As we implement immediate measures, Chair, to tackle COVID-19 pandemic and reconstruction, we must reconcile and strengthen all policy instruments, because I think that's where we believe the root cause is policy instrument, Chair, more than anything. That can help us to tackle patriarchy. COVID-19 for us is merciless and it takes away lives. It is traumatic, but nothing has bedeviled our society much more than gender-based abuse and killings. I want to emphasize that particular point. It is horrible, it is disheartening, and it must be fought the same way that we fought the apartheid, same way we are fighting the pandemic. Lastly, and we know, MEC, that this is your passion. And I was even saying, even at the committee level, there is unity. That broadly the department has got to be supported. Programs must be given a prominence with regard to budget allocation. And we're prepared to even lobby and engage further. But we know that the program of the street kids program
2 minutes, Honorable Melko.
is your passion, MEC. And I think we support you on that particular program that post-COVID-19, this program must be sustained and be maintained as part and parcel of showing that indeed we are not only a caring society, but we care for the future. And that future is not only limited to those who are able, those who have, not only those who do not have. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Melko. I will now give Honorable Smith 2 minutes to address the House. Honorable Smith of the Freedom Front, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Chairperson, South Africa is faced with a mammoth socio-economic disaster. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic reached the shores of our country, we were faced with an economic recession, increasing unemployment and huge inequality. The pandemic consequentially lockdown, restrictions and government irrational regulations have worsened the crisis. Unemployment in the Free State increased before the lockdown with 3.4%. The Free State also recorded the largest loss of jobs in the agricultural sector during the first quarter of 2020. This department thus has a very important mandate, but its mandate is more than only improving immediate social relief in the form of food parcels, etc. Its mandate is also to provide sustainable development programs that facilitate empowerment. That means that the department's focus should be to uplift people from dependency on